tried in our criminal courts. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard a long and complex case. It is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
He doesn't stand a chance.
Lock that door?
Yes, she did.
What does she think we are, criminals? Well, they locked us up for a little while. Yeah, they locked that kid up forever. That's fine by me. I didn't know they did that. Sure they locked the door. What do you think? I just didn't know. It never occurred to me.
Something I'll admit right now. This hot and humid and our tempers are short. It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine. You know, I wonder what's been going on down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job could be gone in the whole company, too. They aren't going to like this. Well, figure this is our duty. Well, I didn't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned that I might not have a job by the time I get back. Why don't you ask her to hire you? I bet she can get you a great job. Look at that suit. Is it an original?
Yes, it is.
I have an aunt who's a designer.
How does she do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of hers, that's a friend of my aunt, the designer, well, he wanted to be on this jury in my place.
Why didn't you let him? I'd done anything to get out of this.
Get caught or something? You know what kind of fine we could pay for a thing like that? Anyway, this friend of my aunt's was on a jury once, about 10 years ago, in a case just like this one. So, what happened? They let him off, reasonable doubt. But you know, about 8 years later, they found out he'd actually done it anyways. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose in the street. Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury. They can't try a man twice for the same crime.
That isn't going to happen here.
6 days. You know, they should have finished in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Give her so much to talk about, nothing.
Well, I guess they are entitled.
Yeah, everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Suppose you can't say nothing against it.
Hey, how'd you like that business about the knife? Have you ever heard a phonier story in your life?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what we're dealing with.
I suppose, but he bought the knife that night.
And then he lost
Hole in his pocket.
a hole in his father.
An awful way to kill your father. A knife in the chest?
Well, look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got cold?
Do I? These hot weather colds can kill you.
I know what you mean. I had one of those last year. On vacation, too.
All right, folks, let's get this thing started.
Yeah, let's get going. I got tickets for Cats for tonight. Must be the only guy in the world who hasn't seen it yet. Okay, Your Honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? The lady in the window. How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father just like that. Bing. Well, it's the element. They let those kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs of some emotion you may have. It's a question of evidence, not how we feel.
We all agree to agree.
And then our tempers will get short.
That's when we disagree. This is open and shut. Let's get it done. All right. Now, you people can handle this any way you'd like. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we could just vote now and see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Right, let's vote.
All right, let's vote.
Anyone who doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
All right, all those voting guilty, raise your hands. 11 votes guilty, not guilty.
You're in left field, you know that.
Okay, it's 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty.
Do you honestly believe this kid's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know.
6 days I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't think it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guilty rate in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to vote on his
You
face?
sat right there in court and the same things we all did. The man's a dangerous killer, you can see it.
Where do you look to see if a man's a killer? Tell me what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something I don't. Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent? He's 19 years old.
That's only enough. He knifed his own father, 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you. The boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right, they proved it a dozen different ways in court. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Don't tell me you believe that stupid story he told.
Now.
Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So why'd you vote not guilty for?
There are 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a man off to die without even discussing it first.
Who said it's easy for me?
Or me, no one.
Is there something wrong because I voted
Not
back?
necessarily.
I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if we talked for 100
I
years.
don't want to change your mind.
All right, then what do you want?
I want to talk for a while. Look, this is a kid who's been kicked around his entire life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9. It's not a real good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. Just think that maybe we owe him a few words. That's all. Okay, it's hard. Sure, it's hard for me. Everything I've got, I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago, and perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
Yeah, I've been kicked around too. Wait till you work in an ad agency and the big boy that buys the advertising walks in. I guess we all know.
In my country in Europe, kicking was a science. But let's try to find something better than that.
I don't mind telling you this, lady. We don't owe this kid anything. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what a trial costs? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe him, knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a person to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have known enough.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this man says is very dangerous. I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like civilized people.
Right. All right, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, why let's discuss the facts.
That's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you ladies and gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to shut the window.
What?
It was blowing on my neck.
And if you don't mind, I'd kind of like to have the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
It's summer. It's hot. Don't you want a little air?
I was very uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us in the room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't we trade chairs with someone on the other side of the table? All right. I will open the window if someone would trade. Take my chair. Thank you.
Shall we get back to the case?
Right, let's get going here.
You know, I'm just thinking out loud right now, but it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this lady that she's wrong and we're right. I don't know, maybe if we each talk for a minute or two. You know, try it on themselves.
Sounds fair enough.
Very good.
Suppose we go once around the table.
All right, let's start.
Right. We'll start with you.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. Well, I thought it was rather obvious. In what way was it obvious? Well, I mean, nobody proved otherwise. Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. Anyway, I just think he's guilty. No reasons, just guilty. There's a man's life at
All right,
stake
let's
here.
get to the facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived downstairs. He lived right underneath the apartment where the murder took place. Now, 10 minutes after 12, he said he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. Said it sounded like a fight. A moment later, he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm going to kill you." And a second later, he heard the body fall. He went to the door of his apartment, he looked out, and he saw the kid running out of the house. He went and called the police, and they found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death around midnight.
Right, and what else do you want?
Something just doesn't fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He played it as a movie. That's so ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right, did you hear? She's absolutely right.
He didn't have any tickets.
Oh, who keeps the ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
What about the woman across the L tracks? If her testimony don't prove, then nothing
That's
does.
right, she saw the killing, didn't she?
Please, let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know. Anyway, she wakes up, looks across the L tracks, and sees the kid stick a knife into his
How
thigh.
can she be sure it's the kid she saw when she saw it through the windows of a moving elevated train?
She's known the kid all his life. His window was right opposite hers across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him
I
do it.
heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved it in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Just a sec, weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So,
Well, let me ask you this. How come you believed her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
you're a pretty smart cookie, aren't you?
Okay, take it easy.
All right, now let's sit down. Don't let her get you all upset. Relax.
They did take us out to the woman's room, and we looked through the windows of the passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I would see. But I did see what happened on the other
You
side.
see? Do you see?
Just calm down. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
Well, I don't know.
Started to get convinced, you know, with the test. Those people from across the hall, didn't they say something on arguing with the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can't be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
Right, 8 o'clock. They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
So what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Is there anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. I mean, we can talk about this thing all day, but I think we're wasting our
I
time.
don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He's been arrested for mugging. He stole a car. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm. He's been picked up for knife fighting. And at 15, he was in reform school.
And they sent him to reform school for stabbing somebody.
That's a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So what about a kid like that?
You're right, it's the kids. It's how they are. You know, they don't listen. I've got a kid, and when he was 8 years old, I saw him running from a fight. I was so ashamed, I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know. Anyway, I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. I hate you kids. You work your heart out and... All right, let's get going.
We're missing a point here. This kid, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go to the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals, because they are. I know it. So do the rest of you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of it.
I believe
Believe
this
me.
one all my life.
I don't believe
I played in the back So,
Well, this is a point.
what about the facts?
So many questions were never answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, the knife, the one the fine upright kid admitted by.
Well, let's take that point. Let's get the knife in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. We don't have to look at it again, do we? What do you think?
I think she has a right to say it's innocent evidence.
It's all right by me.
This knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
Now let's get the sequence of events right as it relates to the knife.
Now, the boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched. The boy went to a neighborhood store and bought a knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted signing everything.
And all agree it's a pretty unusual knife. It's kind of hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of the kind he had stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for his friend, so he says.
Am I right so far?
Right.
You bet she's right. And convince this lady she knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims on the way home the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. They never saw it. Now there's a story. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street and went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It is possible.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Now, aren't you trying to make it accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
Where did you get it? I got it in a junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. Cost $10.
Now you listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a really smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife, and maybe he did go to the movies. And maybe the reason the cashier doesn't remember seeing him was because he sneaked in and maybe he was ashamed to say so. Is there any of you who really didn't sneak in the movies once or twice when you were a kid?
I didn't. Really? Not even once? We didn't have movies.
So maybe he did lose the knife, and maybe he did go to the movies. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Now that's a stupid question. Of course he lied.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
What are you, his lawyer or something?
There's still 11 of us in here who think the kid's guilty. If you want to be stubborn and hang the jury, the kid will be tried again and found guilty. Sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We can be here all night.
It's just one night. A man may die. That's a good point.
I think we ought to get on with it.
Right.
How do you like this lady?
Well, what do you have to say? You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
I have a doubt in my
But
mind.
you haven't really presented anything to us that makes it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the kid shriek it
The
out.
lady across the track, she saw it.
He bought the knife that night. We don't know where he was. Oh, I'm sorry. He was at the movies.
Earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight.
He's been alive the kid all the way. And one of those.
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for a vote. I want you 11 to vote by secret ballot, and I'll abstain. There are still 11 votes for guilty. I won't stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now.
All right, let's do it.
Sounds fair. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Let's roll it.
Perhaps best.
Guilty? Guilty. Guilty? 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 Guilty?
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
What?
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
Any way to talk about a man's
Whose
life?
life are we talking about here? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer? I want to know. So do I.
Excuse me, this was a secret
No
ballot.
one knows why we did it. Now I want to know.
A secret ballot. We agreed on that point, no? If the person wants it to remain a
Oh, what do you
secret.
mean? There are no secrets in here, lady. I know who it was. What's the matter with you? Yeah, you come in here and you vote guilty, and then this slick preacher starts to tear your heart out about a poor little kid who couldn't help but become a murderer. And then you change your vote. If that is the most sickening thing
I
I've
agree with you. The man is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it, be fair. That's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairness. Now, just a minute. No, you listen to me.
Let's try and keep this organized.
This is organized. Let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something here. I've always thought that a person was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. This is the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I'm ashamed
now,
to
don't we
say
have to listen to the whole history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what's happened in other countries. And people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are. So let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. Why'd you change your vote?
Right, you haven't told us yet.
Why do you think I did change my vote? Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote. I did.
I was going to tell you when you were so sure of yourself. Sorry. Okay, I
Maybe
think
you'd
well,
like to know why.
I'll tell you
Lady
why.
wants to talk.
This lady chose not to stand alone against us. That's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If the speech is over, let's go on.
There was anything in his favor. I vote for you.
I know what it is.
Neither do I. The question is trust.
As guilty as they get, she has to get, I suppose.
That one juror told me now. She'll come around. She's got to. Fundamentally, she's a very reasonable woman.
I guess so.
You know, they haven't come up with one ill fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
Well, it can be hard.
Yes. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt mean?
Well, what's the reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you don't, everyone will start knifing people.
Not much down here.
Too bad you think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
Well, you do hear stories about innocent men who have gone to jail or death sometimes. But then years later, things do turn up.
And on the other hand, some killers get turned loose and they go and do it again. They squeeze out some technicality and kill again.
Listen, buddy, I got a little excited a minute ago. I didn't laugh at you like that. Nothing personal. Yeah, okay. Suppose you can tell me this. If the kid didn't kill him, who did?
As far as I'm concerned, we're here to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else had a motive?
Well, the kid's father was along in years, maybe an old grudge. Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Oh, everyone's a lawyer. Suppose you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's a feeling I have. A feeling. Perhaps you don't understand.
No, I
A
don't.
feeling? What are we going to do? Spend the whole night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Listen, lady. The old man heard the kid say to his father, "I'm going to kill you." And a second later, he heard the body fall. And he saw the kid running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Zach, show me the bell back.
Let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked through the open window and saw the boy stab his father.
Right. That is enough
It's
for
not
you.
enough for me. What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like this, lady? It's like talking to a dead phone or something.
The woman saw the killer through the windows of a moving elevated train. She had 5 cars, and she saw through the windows of the last 2
that?
I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it a while, lady. Lend me your pencil. Let's play some tic-tac-toe. Maybe we can pass the time.
This is not a game.
Now, just
This is
a
a
minute.
man's life.
Who do you think you are?
Take it easy.
If you weren't a lady, I'd belt you one right in the face. Do you see her? The nerve, the absolute nerve.
All right, forget it. It don't mean anything.
Oh, sit down. This isn't a game. Who do you think you are?
Weren't we talking about elevator trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
All right, let me ask you this. How long do you think it would take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what has that got to do with
Just
anything?
how long would it take to guess?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
What about you?
I'd say about 10 seconds.
That's a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think 10 seconds, perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yes.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now that given point would be the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can reach out of that window and almost touch the L train, right?
That's right, I tried it.
So,
How many of you have ever lived right next to the L tracks?
I've lived close to it.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I live next to the L tracks, and when your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't even hear yourself think.
All right, you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man downstairs, he said he heard the voice say, I'm going
Now,
to...
just a minute. Just a minute. He didn't hear the voice say it. He heard the voice scream it.
All right, he heard the voice scream, I'm going to kill you. And a second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second, that's the testimony, right? Right. The woman across the L track, she said she looked out of the last 2 cars of that L train and saw the boy stab his father, right?
right.
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. Now that means that L train had going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, or maybe more, before the body fell, according to the woman. That means he would have had to hear the boy say, I'm going to kill you, while the front of the L train was roaring past his nose. It's not possible he could have heard
What
it.
do you mean? Sure he could have heard
With
it.
an L train going by,
He said he heard the kid yell it out.
it's a lot of noise.
Enough for me.
It's enough for me.
I don't think he could have heard it. Maybe the old man did hear it, but with the L
Now, what are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
something doesn't fit.
Why would the old man lie? What's he got to gain?
Maybe attention.
Oh, you keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one to the newspaper, huh? I bet they pay a couple dollars.
What does this have to do with a man's life? Please, explain to us why the old man may have lied. You have a right to be heard.
Well, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was torn under his arm. Did you notice that? This is an old man with a torn jacket, and he walks with a severe limp. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who's been nothing all his life. He's never had any recognition, or his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be questioned, to be listened to, and quoted just once. This is very important.
Oh, I see. And you're telling us he lied about a thing like this just so he can be important.
No, he wouldn't really lie. He would make himself believe he heard those words and recognize the boy's face.
Well, if that is the most fantastic story I've ever heard, how can you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You have to be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If you want to mention everybody you're a liar, that's fine by me.
No, that's just too much.
She's a liar. She just told us
She
so.
did not say she was a liar. She was explaining.
Didn't you just admit to us that you were a liar?
Please, she did not say she was a liar. She was explaining to us the circumstances under which the old man may have lied. There is a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please, we've got our job and our duty here.
I hope we have.
All right. Is there anything else?
Present?
No thanks.
There's one more thing I'd like to point out about the old man downstairs. I think we've pretty much established that he couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to..."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear what the brew is.
But supposing the old man did hear him say that, "I'm going to kill you," this phrase, how many times have each of us said it? "Junior, if you do that once more, I'm going to murder you." "Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say it every day. It doesn't really mean we're going to kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was murdered.
One thing more, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And he yelled it out at the top of his lungs.
Boy, I understand.
And anybody saying a thing like that, the way he said it, I think they mean it.
And how they mean.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think he'd yell something out like that at the top of his lungs so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right. He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak English.
I'd like to change my vote to not. Oh, great, sure. Yes, I'm sure.
Then the vote's 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
I just think that there is a reasonable doubt.
Where? What is the doubt?
Well, there's the
Oh,
night.
great. She talked you into believing a stinking fairy tale.
Come on, give us the reason.
And the old man, maybe he didn't lie, but just maybe he did. Maybe he doesn't like the boy.
Well, if that isn't the end.
I just think that there is a reasonable doubt.
What are you basing this doubt on? Stories this lady made up? She ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly.
He'd make a fortune.
Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer take all these brilliant points?
Lawyers can't think of everything. Oh, brother.
Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't really get out of bed. Runs the door and see the kid can get downstairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's not it.
And the old man swore to this. He swore to this only so he can be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ram walk, what's the difference? He got there, didn't he?
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could have run.
He said he went.
I remember now. He went from the bedroom to the front door.
That's enough. Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. Are we to send a man out to die because his bedroom is down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember this?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see a diagram of the apartment again.
Say, I got an idea. Why don't we have him run the trial over again so you can get everything straight?
Bedroom is down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know exactly where it is? Please, a man's life is at stake here. Do you know? Yeah. Mr. Foreman?
I heard you.
Well, what's this one for? How come you're the only one in here who always wants to see exhibits all the time?
All right, I'd like to see this one too.
So do
And
I.
I want to stop wasting time.
When are you going to start waiting for all that nonsense about where the body was found?
We're going to see how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and who walks with a limp can get from his bedroom to the front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20
He
seconds.
said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was very positive
Oh,
about it.
he's an old man. Half the time he didn't know what he was talking about. He was confused. You saw that. How can you be sure about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you do. Is this what you wanted?
That's right. Thanks.
Sure, it's my job.
You want this?
Do me a favor, will you, buddy? Wake me when this nightmare is over. I know. I looked at the diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested.
Go ahead. All right. Now, this is a diagram of the apartment. His bedroom, or the old man's apartment, is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here's a bedroom, another bedroom, living room, kitchen, hallway, here's the front door, here's the steps. Now, he said he was in bed in this room. He said he got up out of his bed, went to his bedroom door, out in the hall, down the hall to the front door, and he opened it just in time to see the kid racing down the stairs. Am I right? That's the story.
That's what happened.
His bed is the window. Now, it's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet, 6 inches. That means he would have had to get up out of bed and walk 12 feet, go out in the hall, walk 43 feet, and open the front door. All in 15 seconds. Now, do you really think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see
yell it out.
He can only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair in court.
You make it sound like it's a long walk.
It's not.
For an old man who lives, it's a long walk.
What are you doing now?
Is anything wrong? I heard some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take this back, though. We're finished.
What are you all looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy. That we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man. Of a man we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or to lose by our courage. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Thank you.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded. I'm glad I'm trying to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere or getting there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
It's all right with me. Anyone who doesn't want to vote?
Yeah, so that's it. I want an open ballot. Let's call out our votes. I want to know who stands where.
Sounds fair. Anyone object? All right, then. I'll just call for your jury members. I vote guilty. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12. Guilty.
6 to
I'll
6.
tell you something. The crime is being committed right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare I'm a jury. There's no point in going on.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind, and why you changed your mind, and why you did. There are 6 people here who think you may be turning a murderer loose in the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
Well, it would seem that the old man did not see the boy run downstairs. And I don't think you'd like me to hear him scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And if the boy did say he was going to kill, would the authority of this man prove that it might not really have meant he was going to kill?
Well, let's take it to the judge and let this kid take his chance with 12 other people.
6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous, and we're never going to convince her.
At first I was alone. Now 5 others agree with me. There is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there's a doubt because I know there isn't no doubt.
Tell you what, maybe we're a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not going to be.
But we are! Right now. It's a perfect balance. Let's take it to the judge.
If there is a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
Well, the doubt is there in my mind.
Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean,
Right.
vote?
Vote on what?
we just time this so we see? Just what are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact, please. I'm saying that the old man downstairs may have been wrong on how long it took him to get to the door, but that he was right about whom he saw running downstairs. Now, it may have taken the murder about 39 seconds to wipe the fingerprints away and go down the stairs to get to the old man saw. The boy then.
This is right. Well, we reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to his door. Timed that one. Now let's just reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think the murder could use up 30 or 40 seconds pretty easily about this point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
All right.
Here. You do the stabbing.
No, absolutely.
Why don't you look at that? You're going to remember, see, 1 second to fall.
And it was found in the side, his right side. So fall and roll to your right side. If a person hates someone else enough to kill them, don't you think it's reasonable to assume that the murderer would stare at his victim for a second or two?
Now divorce yourself in this particular case. This is just human nature.
Yes, it seems
Now,
reasonable.
just a minute. He falls and he ends up on his right side, right? Well, stabbing someone isn't like shooting someone, even if it's right in the heart. He would have rolled around the room for a few seconds. Lying on the floor riding with you.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him for 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Wouldn't he have cried out?
The kid could have held his mouth.
Now that also seems possible.
Also, there's another point we might bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away fingerprints after murdering someone, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, to see if there are any other clues. It would just be for a second or two, I should think, but still, he would look around.
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't talk about quality when murder is involved. Well, let's do it.
About this in the fingerprints. The kid wiped the fingerprints off with a knife. But what about the doorknob? I mean, if I saw a man going into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping the doorknob with a handkerchief as he came in, that would be an uneasy feeling. So the doorknobs would have been wiped after the killing, and this too would take some time.
You timed the last one. Why don't you time this one, too? All right. Stand your foot when you want me to start.
I would hate to be a 60.
I'm going to kill you. Would have stopped and looked around the room. You would have wiped both knobs. Stop. 15, 20, 25, 29 and a half seconds, I'd say. And whoever did murder the old man, I think it was the kid. He still had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least one flight of stairs.
You see?
The old man may have been wrong on the time, but in lieu of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that he did see the kid run downstairs.
So now both time sequences check. The one you did and the one we did. What with running downstairs and everything, it pretty much does check out on times.
Sure, he's an old man who wants attention. You're probably right. The old man feels the way everyone does. There's a life at stake here.
So the story of the old man may well be true. Except for the fact that he swore on his oath that it was only 15 seconds.
We all seem to agree that it was 25 to 40 seconds later. So you're now saying that the old man lies half the time. Now I do admit that this tends to confirm to the story of the old man, but you are now saying that you're proving him in part a liar. This is by your own admission. Well, it may be true that the old man lies in part, but I think it will change my vote once more. Guilty.
Right. What do you have to say now?
I'm not just sure what I think. I want to talk some more. First I thought guilty, then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
What about you?
No, not in real doubt. Real doubt.
I was right the first time. I say guilty.
Now we're getting makes sense in here.
It seems to be about 9 to 3 in favor of guilt.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
I do not live in a tenement, but it is close. And there is just enough light in the hall so you can see the stairs. No more. The light bulbs are so small. And this murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled on the stairs?
Police officers, we're using and recognized a running figure and was 100% wrong about the time. It took twice as long as he thought. Then could not he be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You're making that up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it.
Do you truly feel there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
I beg your pardon. Perhaps you don't understand the term, reasonable doubt.
Oh, I don't understand it. What do you mean I don't understand it? We listen to this lady. She comes into our country, probably running for a lake. And before she can turn around and take a deep breath, she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of her.
No one here is asking where you came from.
I was born right here,
Or
baby.
where your father came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take some tips from people who come right here. Maybe they've learned something we don't know. You know, we're not so perfect. Please, it's all right. It's not all
Okay!
right.
I apologize. Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
Right, but stop the arguing. Who has something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about the stab wound and the downward angle of it. Well, you know.
Oh, come on now. They went over and over in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. Well, his father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. Well, I think it would be a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than me.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it again. I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. You, how about you? Now, I want you all to watch closely. I don't have to do this again. Stand right here. Now, is this 6 inches, you'd say? That's more. All right, let it be more.
Look out!
Calm down. Nobody's hurt.
All right.
No, nobody's hurt.
All right, there's your angle. Take a look at it. Down and in. That's how I would stab a man in the chest. And that's how it was done. Take a look at it. Tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Have you ever stabbed a man?
Of course not.
Have you?
Let's not be
Have
silly.
you?
No, I haven't.
Where do you get your information about how it's done?
It's just common
Have
sense.
you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
Well, look at this. Doesn't that seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for? How am I supposed to know? Can I see that knife?
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Knife fighting came with the neighborhood where I live. Funny, I didn't think of it before. I guess you just try to forget those things. Anyway, anyone who's ever stabbed a man would never have stabbed downward. You don't handle a knife like that. Use it under him.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the move, but it's not likely. Not if he ever had any experience with knives. And we all know the boy had a lot of experience with knives.
Well, I don't believe it. Neither do I. You're giving us a lot of mumbo-jumbo here.
What do you think?
I don't know. Listen, I'm getting really sick of this whole thing. We're going nowhere fast. Let's break it up and go home.
Before we decide anything else, I'd like to try to pull this thing together.
Oh, this should be good.
She has some rights. Let her go ahead.
Do you want me to time this, too?
Let's
I'm used to the big shots pulling things together. Let's chip up a few shots and see if any land on the green.
I want you all to look at this logically and consistently.
We have, lady. Guilty.
I want to know, is the kid smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a kid who's been to reform school for knife fighting. The night of the murder, he goes and he buys a knife. Now, it would take a very stupid kid to then go and kill someone, his own father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why didn't he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take a great emotion. A man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even hear the train coming. And whoever did murder his father did it as best he could.
So,
Don't you see the kid? The kid is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with a knife, a stabbing. And then a moment later he becomes smart? Come on, the kid is smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. And then at the same time, he's dumb enough to do the killing as an L train is going by. Oh, but then a moment later he becomes smart again, smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away. Now is this kid smart or is he dumb? To make this kid guilty, you have to say he's dumb from 8 o'clock till midnight. Oh, at midnight he becomes smart for a few seconds, then dumb for a few seconds, then smart again. And once again he becomes stupid. So stupid that he can't even think up a good alibi. Now is this kid smart or is he dumb? To make this boy guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt, doubt, doubt.
I have thought of that.
And the old man downstairs, he swore on the stand it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But we all agree that it must have been over 40.
Does the old man lie half the time to tell the truth the other half?
For this kid to be guilty, you have to say he's smart and dumb and smart and dumb and so on. And also for this kid to be guilty, the old man downstairs has to lie half the time and tell the truth the other half of the time. You can reasonably doubt.
I'm so unreasonable now.
I think I am too.
I wanted more talk. Now I've had
I want another vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for, and I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. Anyone object? All right, all those voting not guilty, raise your hands. Nine. Guilty? 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand. How can you believe this kid is innocent? Look, you know how these people lie. I don't have to tell you. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. You know they get drunk and bang. Someone's lying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's just how they are. You know what I mean. Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Where are you all going? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there are some good things about them, too. Look, I'm the first to say that. I've known a few who are pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What is going on? I'm speaking my piece, you listen to me. They're no good. There's not one of them who's any good. Take it from me, we better watch out. This kid on trial? Well, don't you know about them? Listen to me, I'm trying to tell you something.
All right, I've had enough. If you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to bust it shut for you.
I'm only trying to tell you.
All right, sit down, everybody. I still believe the boy is guilty of murder, and I'll tell you why. The most standard evidence is given by the woman across the street who claims she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
Okay, so let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the open window, and she looked out of the window while lying down and see directly into the room across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned toward the window at about 12:10, and as she looked out, she saw the boy stab his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole case.
Frankly, in view of this, I see how you know vote for acquittal. What do you think?
Well, maybe. I mean, there's so much evidence to say.
What do you mean, maybe? She's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my feeling. I don't deny the validity of the points that she has made. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks there is doubt, but what can you say of the story of the woman? She saw it.
Excuse me, but what time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
You don't think they'd let us go home and finish this in the morning? I'm a kid with the law.
Not a chance.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Classes are a nuisance, aren't they?
What do you do when you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to see what time it
chart. My father gave it to me when we were married, my husband and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
The woman who testified in court, she wore glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses? Bifocals. The woman wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right, bifocals.
I think it's logical to say that she was not wearing her glasses when she went to bed, and I don't think she put them on to look casually out the window. No. She testified in court that the murder took place the instant she looked out the window and the lights went out a split second later. She couldn't have possibly had time to put them on then. Now, perhaps she honestly thought she saw the boy stab his father, but I say what she saw was only a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does she know these things?
Does anyone still think there's not a reasonable doubt?
I will always wonder, but there is reasonable doubt.
I think the kid's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced now. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 votes not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether we're alone or not. I have a right.
You have a right.
Well, I told you, I think the kid's guilty. What else do you want?
Your argument.
I gave you my argument.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
Listen to me, please. You're the one. You made all the arguments before. A guilty man, a murderer is going to be turned loose into the streets. Don't turn on me now.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong often, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. None of you. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
Well, I suppose there's not a whole lot we can do about that, except hope that maybe, why, in a few months, that you might be able to get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it
got a what? A brush. I really do.
It's inconceivable.
How could I possibly have a cavity?
This is devastating.
If your little kid has a cavity, we've got news for you. Over the years, one toothpaste has helped prevent more cavities